Welcome to Quote and Conquer, the podcast where powerful words meet powerful action. Let's conquer one quote at a time. What if the very emotions that you think are protecting you are the ones that are quietly recreating the life that you're trying to escape? Hi, everyone. It's Joey Walters. Welcome back to Quote and Conquer, the podcast where powerful words meet powerful action. Shame and guilt, they just don't hurt. They repeat. They pull you backwards. They keep you chained to your past. They convince you that your best days are behind you. They disguise themselves as responsibility, self awareness, and being realistic. And that is totally false. And if you're not careful, you just won't remember the past. You will rebuild it to create your future. And without further ado, I really want to get into this week's episode. So, this week's quote is "Shame corrodes the very part of us that believes we're capable of change" by Brene Brown. So, who is Brene Brown? She's a research professional who spent over 20 years studying courage, vulnerability, shame, and guilt in human behavior. And what's really powerful about her work is that she didn't only study shame, she discovered it while researching connection. And what she found out was this: shame is the primary barrier to transformation, not lack of discipline, not lack of intelligence, not lack of ambition. Shame convinces capable people that change is dangerous, that exposure equals rejection, and growth equals risk. Her research shows that shame thrives in silence, secrecy, and judgment. The moment that it's named, the moment that it's brought to light, it loses its power. And that's why so many people are driven to stay stuck. Not because they don't want more, because they carry this unspoken story about who they believe they are based on their past. You see, growth requires self trust requires compassion, and compassion begins when you stop letting shame and guilt narrate your future. I've coached many people, including executives, athletes, and leaders who look unstoppable on the outside, yet privately they feel trapped in a version of themselves that they no longer want to be. Not because they lack discipline, not because they lack drive, but because they never learned to release their past. And without abandoning that, you can't move forward. You see, the past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. Let that sit with you for a second, because most people don't live in the present. They live in their memories. They're remembering their failures, old decisions, and moments they wish they can undo. And shame and guilt make sure that you keep paying rent in that very place. Hi, everyone. Quick interruption from the episode. If this is speaking to you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification because you don't want to miss out. And share it with someone who may need it. The link is in the episode notes. It only takes a moment and it can change someone's life. I believe in divine timing, and that can put the right message in front of the right person at the right time to make a huge difference. So let's make this happen together. And without further ado, let's get right back in the episode. So now I want to share a very personal story. For me, one of my deepest battles with shame and guilt came during my divorce. And I want to be really honest here, because this is where a lot of people suffer quietly. For a long time, I told the story that getting divorced meant I failed as a father. I had broken something that could never be repaired, that no matter how present I was, how intentional I wanted to be, I would always fall short of being the father I wanted to be. Shame followed me everywhere, every drop off, every time I missed bedtime, every moment I wasn't physically there, even though I was emotionally committed to my kids. And guilt piled up over and over. The guilt of pain, the guilt of disruption, the guilt of for the version of the family that I thought my kids should have. But here is the truth that I had to face, and this helped me change everything. That story was a lie. I wasn't failing as a father. I was becoming one consciously. I was holding myself hostage to an outdated definition of what a good father could look like instead of asking a better question myself. Who am I choosing to be right now? Shame wanted me to stay stuck in the past. Growth demanded me to show up in the present. And once I stopped living in the past and I finally started building the life that I could control. So, how did I do this? I had to reframe shame that I am bad or guilt that I did something wrong with who I wanted to be in the future. They were just signals and things in my mind and not life sentences. And the moment that I got confused in this motion and this identity, I got stuck. So I had to make one of the best decisions I could ever make. Forgive who I was and the decisions I made in the past because that was yesterday and that was history. And today was a gift, and I could step up and be the father I always wanted to be without living in this shame and guilt. And be there for my kids presently, be the father, show them how to move from childhood into adulthood, and be their mentor and be the father that I always wanted to be. Quick interruption from the episode. Your past is lying to you and it's been chaining you down for long enough. I know this firsthand. But here's the great news. My book, Breaking from the Chains of Your Past, is a system I use to rebuild my identity, and it'll show you how to break free and create the future that you deserve. And here is the deal. If you attend my free masterclass by clicking the link below, I'll give you the book for free. No strings attached, just transformation. What are you waiting for? Your future starts now. So now I'm going to give you 5 takeaways on how you can live this quote every single day. Number 1, stop asking, why did I do that? Start asking, who am I becoming? People stay trapped in their explanation. But for you to move forward, you need to create a new identity. And the future isn't built on understanding every past decision, it's about what you're doing today. Number 2, separate responsibility from self condemnation. You can own your past without wearing it. Accountability builds character, self attack destroys it. High standards do not require self hatred. Number 3, rewrite the meaning, not the memory. You don't need to erase the past. You just need to redefine the purpose of it. Pain can be proof for growth. So when you stop treating your past like a life sentence, that's when you can move forward. So reframe it. Number 4, lead and live in the present. And don't focus on perfection. You know, your family, your kids, your business, they don't need a flawless version of yourself. They need a present one. So do your teams, and so does your future. Consistency will always beat shame and guilt every single time when you're doing the right thing, especially when no one is watching. Number 5, forgiveness is a strategy, not a weakness. Forgiveness isn't letting yourself off the hook, it's reclaiming your energy. And you cannot build a powerful future without dragging yourself back and forgiving yourself for what you did at that point in time, because your new version is not the old version that made that decision at that moment in time. So I'm going to end it with this. Shame and guilt will always try to convince you that your past is who you are. But the truth is, the past is a chapter, not the book. A lesson, not a life sentence. A reference point, but not your residence. You are not your divorce. You are not your worst decision. You are not the moment that you wish you can undo. You are the person who gets to decide today and how the story continues, because you are the author of your life. You're the director of your life. So let the guilt go, release the shame, and step forward, because the future you want is waiting on the version of you who finally stops looking at the past and starts creating your future today. Well, that's all for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it and you got something out of it, and that way you can go and implement it. Remember, I always say, don't just hear the words, live them. You only live life once. So what are you waiting for? The world is yours to conquer. Definitely running with the